detail, then dial your operator.
Have no fear, fellow citizens. The Mediator is here.
Good morning and welcome to this week's edition of The Mediator with me, your host, Brian West, here to give you the top 8 headlines and developing news stories that made in this week. Now, as usual, I'll give you the top 8 local headlines and developing news stories that made in first. Then we may do a movie clip, a skit, a trailer, or something that's going on in the community. And then I'll give you the top 8 international headlines and developing news stories that made in this week. So let's waste no time. Let's get to it. Story number 1, dog fighting reported in Youngstown. Animal cruelty is a big issue, and with reports of dog fighting locally, it could spark more investigations. After being tipped off with a video, local law director Jeff Libyan is now on high alert to bring down any dog fighting rings. A suspected dog fights have been on the suspected dog fighting has been reported on the east side in March, I believe it was. That's what bumped this story up in the top 8. So that's why story number 1 made it in this week. Story number 2, Austintown voters have 2 school renewal levies on the ballot. One levy for 5 years at $4.9 million passed back in 1991. Then in 1996, another 5-year levy for $7.3 million passed. So nothing is brand new, according to the district treasurer. Austintown, like Youngstown, will be seeking voter approval for levies on the ballot this year. They will need these levies to pass to meet their at least even come close to their financial needs for their district. Story number 3, still losing money, a lot of money. Cavelli Center and the amphitheater lost $138,000 in the second quarter, and like many other local businesses, they are in trouble due to COVID-19. COVID-19 put the Cavelli Center behind the 8 ball because the city still owes about $7.46 million on the principal loan of the building, if not more. Youngstown was able to save $161,000 in interest from a state program from the state treasurer's office. The city also owes money on the amphitheater as well, and if these properties continue with losses, that would not be good for the future plans in place for the facilities downtown in downtown Youngstown. This is a big developing story. Story number 4, local leaders speak out on racial issues, but many don't see it as a problem. Still don't see it. After weeks of circulating stories about racial issues, some wonder if it is really a factor or an election gimmick. It's a big developing story. It's hard to fathom racial inequality with so many millionaires of different ethnic backgrounds in America. That's a lot of people. And so this is creating a lot of talk in some circles, and no one would expect this to be a central topic in 2020, but it is. The protests and the constant flow of racial news moved this story in this week, and that's why it's at number 4, because it's starting to affect local residents as more stories come in. They're starting to talk about this issue. Story number 5, Youngstown coming up $2 million short on income tax collections. Although payments picked up since April, Youngstown is $2 million under its income tax collection budget, according to a few reports locally. The city plans to lay off employees to save money, but with COVID-19 still around, there is still tension when it comes to the city's spending. This is another big developing story that could evolve, if you want to use a good word, in the next weeks as we get more information in on the city's finances. Story number 6, local residents are battling with stress and uncertainty. If you haven't noticed yet, there are many local residents battling with stress due to uncertainty. With COVID-19 and the job market being shaky, a lot of residents are starting to feel uncertain about the future. Although some have been able to hang on to some jobs, many are concerned about the future of being able to keep up in the midst of instability. With unemployment benefits now at the center of a debate, some local residents may be so desperate for work that Congress may have to act sooner than later. They may have no choice. It's clear to say that the ripple effect of shutting down the economy is starting to take shape as the story is still developing and almost made it to the top 2 this week. Story number 7 in the top 2 local headlines and developing news stories that made it in this week. Why is repealing HB 6 such a big issue? It's a lot to do with energy. Nuclear energy plays a big part in the power grid, and it received a big bailout tied to a scandal that made headlines, recent headlines. It is now clear that the scandal involving Larry Householder has stirred the pot on HB 6. Governor DeWine and other prominent state Republicans see no problem with a mixture of nuclear energy and renewable energy to help power the state. Some feel that the investigation into Larry Householder's scandal could be politically motivated, meaning there could be more hidden details in this developing story. That's why it made it to the top 2 this week. Story number 8 in the top local headline and developing news story that made it in this week. Valley residents still need relief. A lot of relief. Help. Aerospace set to lay off 131 workers, and 30,000 workers filed for jobless benefits. That could be more, and that puts the state past the 1.5 million mark. Like I said, it could be more. News stories about rent and mortgage issues are starting to surface also, as Ohio's economy is taking a big hit due to layoffs and economic downswings caused by COVID-19. This virus is a target, and many are loading their weapons trying to find it, but it's nowhere in sight, but it's causing a lot of problems. Well, those are our top 8 local headlines and developing news stories that made in this week. I'll be right back with the top 8 international headlines and developing news stories, so don't go anywhere. You're in the Mediator with me, Brian West. I'll be right back.
If you need help, then dial your operator.
Have no fear, fellow citizens. The Mediator is here.
If you want to check out the stories that almost made it in or did make it in, go to our Twitter feed on our website. Check out everything. All of the sources are there. And go to the website. It's method8inc.com, method8inc.com, where you can buy something, click on something, watch something, read something, or just sponsor a program.